Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Open Minded, Reese Pound, Dale West Watson, Mike, Henrik86, Muted, Dicker, Skeptic, theflatearthchannel.com, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Steve ALM, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Liam Nedrick, Dank, Owen Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Tina Baker, Alexander Main, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive shout out to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. I'm going to raise the mic on Discord and G+, so you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever the hell is in there while I set up for today's live show.
Anyone?
Good morning.
Hey, nothing's live yet, right?
Always consider me live.
Okay. Well,
I'm not live,
yeah,
but yes. Go on.
Well, I mean, obviously, this is not something in confidence I'm speaking to you about, but there's a problem on the server. Like, as soon as you go offline, a bunch of globe mods flood the page, mute flat earthers, kick flat earthers, constantly make fun of them. The claim yesterday was flat earthers are triggered by math, and it just ran for hours. And
Okay.
the people, if you challenged it, they just muted you.
Okay. It's not my server.
It's super. Yeah, I get it. But you got way more pull than I do. My only option is just to leave. You know, like,
way more pull than you. You think so? I've. I don't want to get into it. I have no pull in this server. It's not mine. I have no decision-making ability. I cannot ban anybody. So it's not my server. There's no two ways about that. I've got no pull whatsoever. If anybody's got any pull here, it's Righteous Force, who's in the after show currently on mute. He has some pull. Speak to him.
I talked to him about one guy yesterday, and he took mod away from him. But then the next, he gave it to someone else who was even worse.
You just need to speak to them, not me. I'm sorry, I know you want to moan about it.
Well, not really moan, just like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if this is supposed to be a place where they're supposed to come and listen to flat earthers and have a conversation, how can they just throw shit all day long and never come in here to challenge when it's live? He'll never come in to present the argument that to you that flat earthers are triggered by math.
Okay, what does that tell you?
Yeah, it's like what I used to say: sunlight is the best disinfectant. They run when the sunlight comes out.
Fair enough. I'm nothing but grateful for the use of this server. Hey, 10th man.
Hey, you sound worse today.
I feel terrible. Yeah, I do.
Oh my gosh.
I know the cause. It's because I was cleaning up a bouncy castle and marquee and various other things while it was tipping it down with rain, which isn't necessarily very good for you. But there we go. Such is life.
All right. Good morning.
Morning. Do you remember when Mount St. Helens went off, 10th man?
Yes, I watched it on TV.
It's interesting because from what I understand, that was the loudest sound ever produced on Earth. 194 or 5 decibels. Very, very, very loud. Huge pressure wave. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. That's what. Obviously, I'm not that close to it in California, but I remember them equating it to how many. I can't remember bombs. Like the most powerful bomb would sound, and it was so many times that sound. But I can't remember at the moment.
Okay. The reason I bring it up is because over the last, I don't know if it's 6 months or whatever it is, I've been looking at acoustics. And the reason is because obviously I've got a show and I want to sound better on the show. I want to be able to hear the guests clearer in my room, things like that. So I've been looking into acoustics. And the most recent endeavour, albeit as a kind of 40th birthday fad, was a subwoofer. Big bass driver. And in high-end audio, subwoofers aren't like in cars, in the respect that in a car they're doing quite a wide range of frequencies, and in a home cinema system or hi-fi system they're doing a very limited range, very, very, very deep bass only. So as a result, I was looking into bass frequencies, how they behave, what they do, and it's not like I'm not au fait with this. I've worked in studios, I've worked with audio engineers, I've even worked with acousticians, but never really paid any attention to what they were saying until now. Now it actually affects me recording stuff, of course. But there we go. The point of all this is that I was studying this, and on one of the lists that I came across, so I was doing a bit of testing, and I've got a piece of software that just lets me see various different frequencies. And I happened to hit a button by accident, and it gave me a list of all these things, all these sounds, how loud they were, etc. You know, motorbike 100 dB, and you've got this Mount St Helens 195 dB, loudest sound ever recorded, it said. I was like, okay. Now, you look into it, and this is heard everywhere. It's heard all over the place, right? Everyone heard it. Yeah? Well,
Everyone heard what?
The sound of it going off. It travelled for an immense distance. Pressure wave.
Okay, so, well, someone's saying that when it blew, it made the sound, and I don't recall hearing it in California, is what I'm trying to say. But go on, because the winds were blowing in the jet stream or whatever was blowing the ashes in one certain direction, as you can see by the videos.
Okay, but it's just one of those things that I was thinking about in terms of how sound waves propagate and how they wouldn't propagate on a spherical surface. They'd just dissipate outwards, and then that would be it, right? So for them to travel, you know, it's another. It's fairly slapdash at this point. I'm just sort of mulling it over in my mind. But the way I see it is this is another flat Earth proof. How the sound propagates, how it travelled, would only be capable of travelling if it was a flat surface that it was travelling over. In other words, if the surface was dropping away from it by the nature of how sound propagates, it's not going to bend its way round. It's just
No, I get you. And if it's contained as well, because gas pressure can't happen without containment, all the more.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to go to. So depending on how far, well, like I say, I wasn't around at the time, so I've got no personal experience about it. I mean, I might have been alive. I think it was 1980 or something?
I don't remember. I remember watching it. I remember just them showing the video saying this is going to blow any time, and they would just keep you updated, and then bang, it went, and we all watched it. So I remember the ash made its way around, as they say, the sphere several times.
But that's the thing again. How would that occur?
I know.
Unless it's bouncing off something.
Well, none of that makes any sense.
No, none of it does it? This is where I was going. I was like, the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, none of this makes any sense. I mean, I kind of say, as I'm saying it, you can hear me sort of stammering over my words because it's almost ludicrous. While I was thinking about it, I'm like, the whole time I'm thinking about it, I'm like, but I know it's not a sphere. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a ludicrous notion, but the fact that people can have that particular thing work on a sphere is just crazy, crazy nonsense. How do people wrap their head around that?
Well, I live on property, right? And I've got, good morning. So living on property, having a home on the higher part of the property and a home on the lower part of the property, and then even a higher range on top of above the homes. If it's really, like a quiet day, I could hear people talking from the neighbor who's on 5 acres away from me, and I could be hearing every word come through. Then when the wind is blowing, it's a whole different story. If I get the Santa Ana winds, I can't hear anything because the wind is taking their voice in a different direction. if I'm on property and I'm trying to get my wife's attention and the wind is blowing in my face, I speak in the normal tone. She can't hear me. I have to yell for her to hear me. Whereas on other days, I just whisper.
You just proved this fear. I don't believe it.
I don't think so. It's a very ham-handed.
No,
it's a very ham-handed segue to me.
It's sound waves, right? I mean, the wind and the sound waves, they have an effect on each other.
Right. But for me, it's just it's a segue because basically I made a bit of a cock up. So I applied for, I didn't have money to buy this subwoofer that I've got, but I wanted it because I'm turning 40. So I applied for PayPal credit to buy it, so I could pay it back maybe £100 a month because they give you like 4 months interest-free credit. Very boring stuff. Anyway, I thought, that's how I'll pay for it. So I went to pay for it, bought it on eBay, went to pay for it, and it just took it straight out of my account. I'm like, fuck, that's not what I intended to happen at all. Anyway, so then I just sort of started mentioning it in the chat streams. I'm like, I'm buying a subwoofer, knowing full well that I hadn't actually got the money to pay for it, but I sort of lumbered myself with buying this thing that I hadn't got the money for and didn't want to go through the hassle of spending about 5 hours contacting the seller and saying, can you refund me so I can repay for it with a different means? Because, of course, like all purchases on eBay, they go, I wanted cash anyway. And I'm like, oh, this is going to end badly. Anyway, so I did all that and then ended up e-begging in some of the chats, mentioning it, saying I'm trying to buy a subwoofer. And a few people literally just sent me PayPal money. I mean, I say that like it's a surprise. I did actually put the PayPal link for them to send me money. But there we go. A few people actually contributed to it and said, great that you're turning 40. Here's some money towards your subwoofer fad. And I'm like, oh, thank you very much. So there's several people. I mean, I think I got over £100 from people just giving me like £15 and £20 or $15 or whatever. And one gave me, I think it was like 100 Canadian, like 50 or £60 towards this subwoofer. Awesome. But, it meant that I could actually pay for it, and I went and got it. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. No, yesterday. I picked it up and plugged it up and wired it up, and happy days. So I'm a happy chappy, thinking about bass a lot. So that's just why I've explained it, because it's a ham-handed segue to me saying thank you to all the people who have supported my midlife crisis fad of buying a subwoofer. Thank you very much.
So when's your birthday, actually?
It's in 3 weeks, 13th of August.
Got it. Yeah, I remember you mentioning subwoofer. I love subwoofers. So what kind did you get?
I got one that matches the speakers. It's a B&W one. We've got 10 minutes. Why not? It's the pre-show. So I've been looking for a very particular type of subwoofer for a very long time. I wanted a high-end passive subwoofer, meaning it hasn't got an amplifier in it. And the reason is because I've got a whole rack of studio-grade amplifiers that I bought when I was a rep from the company I work for, and they are studio grade amplifiers. They're fantastic. They're completely transparent. I won't go into what that means. Anyway, they're good. And I don't want to use some shitty plate amp that comes in the back of a subwoofer when I've got really, really outstanding studio grade amplifiers. So I just want the cone. So the way I went about it was like, well, how can I achieve that? Well, the way to achieve that for most people who are like DIYing it is to buy a car subwoofer. But as I said earlier, they're not quite what you want to do. They're trying to cover a bigger frequency range. All I want is like 2 octaves. It's like next to nothing. But in the end, I ended up with one that's specifically designed to go with the speakers I've got. And passive just happened to be a custom installation speaker. So because it's designed to be actually fitted into a wall, they don't put the amp in. But they still give you the same grade and quality of speaker that you get with an amp in that probably cost a couple of £1,000. So for about 500 quid, I've got something that, in equivalent terms, is probably better than a £2,500 subwoofer, because I'm powering it with a much, much better amp, and the cone itself is no different. It's in the same box as well, if anything, slightly better braced, because it's smaller. So it's an excellent piece of equipment. But like I say, I just didn't have thousands to spend on a sub, knowing that all I'd end up doing is ripping out the amplifier and turning it into a passive sub, which just seems like a waste of money. Right. There we go. I haven't had to do that, and I've bought something that's exceptionally good, produces the quality of something that's maybe £2,000 or £3,000, maybe $3,000 or $4,000, and it just sounds glorious.
So it's BMW, like the car?
And Bowers and Wilkins.
Oh, Bowers and Wilkins. Okay, I'm gonna look it up. That's why
they do a lot of. They sell mostly to people, i.e. domestic, but they also sell to studios. So the range that I have is actually used in studios, and as are the amps. So it's like It's cool. It's that's
No,
why
that's awesome. No, I'm happy for you. That's great. I was thinking of an analogy while you were giving us that detailed explanation. The golfer that I know who's really good, has great technique. Just fun to watch him swing that club. So one day we were playing golf, and I can't hit the ball, like not even close, right? So I go, hey, do me a favor, baptize my 5-iron. So I give him my 5-iron. Of course, his shafts are much more stiffer than my shafts on the club, and he's got to swing a couple of times to get a feel for it. And sure enough, he swung my 5-iron for the first time, making the adjustments. He intuitively felt he needed to slow down his swing a little bit for it to work. And he just nailed that ball. And I've never seen my 5-iron do anything that good. So I was thinking about how I'm the poor amplifier, and then I give it to this guy, and the club starts working great. He's the better amplifier.
kinda.
Hey, Tenth Man, is it true that if God were to play a sport, it would be golf?
No, that's just a fun joke, because golf is so hard. Unless you have the proper technique and put time into it, it's just a very difficult thing for people to pick up unless you start young.
Really?
Most people.
Okay. So because I swung a golf club when I was quite young and learned how to putt and stuff, that means that because I played golf, 5 years ago, and I was all right at it. I'm not a golfer. I don't own any clubs, but I certainly played, and I didn't do terribly. I could get it in the hole.
I had a lot of Irish friends. They play pitch and putt. Is that like the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah,
smaller, right?
It's more than that, obviously. There's eye-hand coordination. There's some people like Greg Norman, who was Australian. He picked it up right away. He just had a knack for it. So there's all kinds of reasons why some people can do it and others have a difficult time. But obviously, I learned late, so it would have been better if I learned earlier, because I've got all these different mechanical motions that I wasn't willing to give up because it didn't feel right or whatever. And so it's a lot of changing what you think and you need to do versus what needs to be done. Let's put it that way.
Plus, if you're going to learn how to smack it a long way, I don't know what the actual technical term is, but a friend of mine back when I was in school used to live on his house backed onto a golf course. So, of course, we would go and rob a load of balls, because we could just sneak through his little forest, which was like his back fence. And then you're on the golf course. You go and round up a load of balls. Obviously not ones that were being played with at the time. And it meant that you got a load of balls. So you could just get a big... What's the big wood one called with a big head?
Yeah, that's a driver.
A driver, precisely, yeah. You get a driver, and from the top of where his house was, you could just drive these things hundreds of yards, with a big enough club, and then go miles. And because they weren't, free balls, you just sit around doing that all day, just smacking these balls. I was thinking to myself, why is he saying golf is difficult? Then suddenly all the memories of being, 12 or 11 or 13 or something around that sort of age, sitting around smacking golf balls hundreds of yards, over the top of these trees. You think, yeah, actually, it's because I was young and I actually did play golf. That's probably why I could jump on a golf course and actually play a game.
Yeah, some people pick it up real quick. Others have a problem. Your spine has to be in a certain position. There's so much to it. It's amazing. It's fun. I love it.
I hate it. It's boring.
Oh, it's not boring at all. Once you get a bug for it, it's not boring, because you're trying to, score the lowest score possible to par, and the challenge is just endless. It's just I could play golf until I can't. That's how good it is.
I just remember last time I went to play golf was that there were stroppy blokes in tartan trousers that were like annoyed that one of the guys that we were playing with was just slowing us down. He just wasn't very good. And they were all getting stroppy because obviously we're holding them up, right? He's like,
Right.
Go screw yourself. It's supposed to be...
Because they're rich muppets.
It's a leisurely game, right? We were all there just having fun. And, they're admittedly taking it a lot more seriously than we are. But it's like, okay, so you've got to wait for 2 minutes and you're all tutting and sighing. Oh, bugger off. That just annoyed me. Supposed to be having fun, right?
I've seen some funny things about that. Usually if you got a slow group in front of you, it's holding back 5, 6, 7, 8 groups of people, not just one group. So the marshal comes out and says, hey, do you guys either pick it up or step aside and let people play through? Why don't you take a half an hour break, go get a beer or something, something like that. It all depends.
Surprising number of people die on golf courses.
What's that?
That a surprising number of people die on golf courses.
I have no idea what that number is, but I've seen a lot of fights.
No, I mean, like, keel over and have heart attacks and just die.
Well, are they older people who
older people.
Die anyway?
Older people on golf courses dying,
anyway,
actually playing their favourite sport. Which in some ways, I'm saying it with a smile. I only know this, like I say, because Matt used to live on the back of a golf course. Matt and Mark, I should say. But yeah, anyway, the point is that people die on golf courses. It's not uncommon.
No, it probably isn't, and it's their choice, right?
I just think people just like it so much, and it's actually quite, it's a fairly, if you're doing I don't think I did last time. I don't think I did a full, 18 holes, but it was, I don't know, maybe 9 holes or something like that, and it was fairly strenuous. You're walking a fair old distance. Yeah,
when I coach and caddy, I'm walking 6, 7 miles minimum per day, carrying a bag.
Right.
But some of the best times in golf is, when I brought up flat Earth, because the group's with you. I mean, they can't go anywhere.
I was just about to say they can't get away from you.
I had them for 4.5 hours, and man, one guy bit, and for all 4.5 hours, that guy and me were going at it. He's a flat earther today, so it was fun.
Almost a bit mean, but presumably you wait to be led into the subject. They know you, right?
No, the guy knew me, and he says, "What's new?" And I go, "You really want to know?" He goes, "Yeah, I do." And I said, "All right, we've been lied to by NASA." And then, boom, and it started from NASA, then it led to what else we've been lied to. And I said, "Hey, do you feel the Earth is spinning right now? Look around. Do you feel motion of any kind?" And just like that. And the other two are just listening.
Yeah, I've got to really want to actually tell the person for their benefit, though. So, for example, yesterday I picked up this subwoofer. I'm not trying to bring it back onto subwoofers, by the way. And just by coincidence,
no problem, bring it back on.
Just by coincidence, the person I bought it from happened to be someone I worked for 20 years ago in hi-fi. Now, not a massive coincidence because he's selling a piece of hi-fi within 20 miles of where I live, right? So I've looked locally so I can go and physically pick the thing up. So not that big a coincidence. But by the same token, he's obviously got the usual questions. What do you do now? And I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. Now, at that point, they're going to say, well, YouTuber about what? Now, I've got two choices while I'm standing in the rain holding a 25-kilo subwoofer. Either I can say I run a show debating flat Earth, in which case that will almost definitely spark up a conversation in the rain, which I don't want to have. Or I can say what I actually said, which is I have a show that debates cosmology. Now that will with most people, that's enough for them to go, what does that mean exactly? Enough for them to say, I don't really know what that means, but I don't want to say that. So it kind of draws a slow end to the conversation.
Well, if it wasn't raining and you had the time, you would have. But you chose careful words for a reason.
I actually don't think I would. I used the rain as an excuse in the story because we're about to start. But in reality, I don't think I would have done. Because without being cruel to the guy, he's a very nice guy. I don't care about him. Do you know what I mean?
Cruel to the guy. Well, we're going to have to continue this tomorrow morning. All right,
well, it's just inconsequential. It's like that OTA song, now you're just somebody that I used to know. Obviously, he's not an ex-lover, but by the same token, he's just somebody I used to know. Just in different. I'm indifferent to him. So from that perspective, it's like it's similar to when Neil says, "Why don't you go over and debate in the arena?" I'm like, well, I don't have the time to do it, and I can't weigh up the benefit of doing it. Now, that might change. I might do it for my own pleasure in future, and the same might occur with somebody who I just stumble across. For my own pleasure, I might decide just to ruin his day, just for fun. But no, in that instance, it's more the case that do I actually care enough about this person to go through this with them or not?
Well, let's wait till tomorrow so Ted Man can give you part 2 of what he thinks about that.
Fair enough. We can discuss it on the show. I don't mind. It's,
Okay,
it's
that's fine.
Tuesday, and we had a really good housekeeping session yesterday, so I'm not too fussed about just keeping the conversation going. I'll try and rattle through the intro quickly. How about that?
Yeah, go ahead. Just call it whenever you want.
Okay.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the discussion, there is a link in the info box below this video, so click that now, press your mute button if you do join, please don't swear if you do. Now we are joined by 10th Man and a whole bunch of people in Discord. We're actually in the middle of a fairly juicy conversation, which is why I've done a relatively short intro, so welcome one and all, and Arvin.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. So just to carry on from where we were discussing this in the pre-show, I'll do a little plug for it. So if you are watching this live, Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, then typically you'll get this show about 36 hours later on the second channel, so subscribe today to Nathan Oakley channel, or if you want to watch it as soon as it's finished recording, become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and you get it pretty much immediately after it's recorded. Anyway, we were discussing 10th Man, who typically will openly, let's say overtly, discuss the topic of flat earth with people he encounters. And now by coincidence I encountered an old acquaintance from way back when and chose not to. Now I gave the excuse that it was because it was in the rain. The end of the conversation was something along the lines of, well, if it hadn't been the rain you'd have spent the time to, let's phrase it in a derogatory way, convert the man to flat earth. And I said, well, actually, no, I probably wouldn't, because that person's just somebody I used to know, as opposed to somebody I've got a deep caring about or concern about, or feel it's, without sounding selfish, in my interest to actually dedicate the time to doing that with. Anyway, that's enough lead in for the audience. 10th Man.
Yeah, it was interesting. And for me, if I know someone is lying, it doesn't sit well with me. And so if I could bring someone's attention to a lie, whatever the lie is, hey, don't go to this mechanic because he cheats people and here's so many people he's cheated, then I try to steer people so they don't get hurt. So I'm not trying to convert people because I can't convert people, but I want to inform people. And so if they're going to get converted, they'll get converted based on good information. And then I have something to do with it because I don't want them to be lied to. So your story of standing in the rain with a subwoofer, and I said, well, if it wasn't raining, maybe you would have had the discussion. And you were saying, no, I probably wouldn't have. So for me, I'm the opposite. If it was raining, I'd say, look, I'd like to talk to you about it, but since it's raining, let's meet up for coffee or something. So I would have rescheduled it. But I have this inner desire to do this on a variety of topics. So flat earth being one of them. But that's where I would be, because I don't like people being lied to. I like standing on the side of the truth as much as I can.
Fair enough. But you mentioned I would prefer they weren't being lied to. In other words, you have the same view as me. In other words, if you have some deep-seated concern for these people, then you're going to take the time to do it. And people you're playing golf with are those people, aren't they?
Yeah, it could be a stranger, though. I've actually had many good conversations with. I remember one time when living in Spain, I met a guy. My son was playing golf, and I went into the clubhouse and had a beer, and this guy was sitting there, and he was German, and we started talking. He says, why aren't you playing golf? I go, well, my son's playing golf, and I'm just here going to watch the soccer game and chat with you if you want. And he says, yeah, let's talk. And come find out he's an atheist. So for about, I don't know, 3 hours or something like that, we had a wonderful talk about why he's an atheist and why I'm a Christian and the back and forth. It was pleasant. We left as friends, but we covered a lot of nice, subjects.
Morning chocolate.
And I didn't know the guy. Never saw him again.
Good morning.
That's
Hey
fair
guys,
enough.
how's it going?
You've obviously got a different attitude to this to me. You're somewhere in between Spurs. I'm on the extreme end. Spurs is on the other extreme. You're somewhere in between, right?
I would say based on, yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's, I relate with Spurs. I just don't relate the way he fully is because I don't have power over you. I don't have power over anybody. I have enough trouble having power over me. So I have to just get on my knees and ask God for help when it comes to things. And so if I have to do that, that means others have to do it to a point. Some people are more disciplined than others, etc. Some people are stronger in their convictions than others. But, I think of the eternal things. I think of, okay, heaven and hell, God, salvation. What am I in this wheel? Am I supposed to be a silent witness? Am I supposed to share the gospel? But how do I share it? Do I push it on people? No, I don't push it on people. I share it if they want to talk about it, because the scripture says if you have eyes to see, ears to hear, then the message will come through. I mean, it's very clear in the Bible how you find God. You have a very sincere prayer in your heart, and he, not me, he will reveal himself to you. And that's why I send people off with that message. I go, you want to know God? Because they say, well, it's obvious you feel you know God. I go, oh, no, I know God. He changed my life. But if you want to know what I have, I can't give it to you, but you can get it from him directly. Just ask him. But be sincere when you do, because he will answer.
Yeah, thanks, man. You don't try to convert people, you try to convert people.
Very nice. I like that panology. I have a theology degree in panology.
Yeah. Whereas
That's a fact.
Go on, Neil.
No, I was just saying that's a fact. He's the pun man.
I have a similar ethos. I don't like liars and people who dance on the graves of others.
Yeah, well said.
What do you mean by that? Dance on the graves of others?
Just people who take things too far.
I like the
You're
first
talking
part,
about
what you
flat
said. You don't
earthers or
like liars.
globalists?
I didn't get the second part.
Anyone.
You guys, there's a Facebook page all making fun of Mad Mike, all run by globalists. Like, you can go there and they just post that more flat earthers need to try the rocket science. Where's your outrage there? I mean, that family's still grieving. That's beyond too soon. They were doing it the day.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm saying they
just
shouldn't have.
bad.
Yeah. If you're raised with a nihilistic worldview, you're zealous.
Yeah, those
Which the people we deal with are. They don't care. We've seen the depths that they sink to. This is nothing to them.
They really have no value of human life because they don't recognize a creator that placed value on life.
Wow, we got there quick. Yeah.
No, that's precisely true.
Precisely. Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's why a lot of them, I think, race against us in the way they do. If your outlook is, it's all for nothing, we're an insignificant speck of dust, none of it really matters. Laughing at a dead guy, who cares, right? It's a flat earth dead guy. Well, that deserves ridicule. And that's their worldview. Now, if you thought for 1 second that you might be judged for that, do you think you'd still do it? And if someone comes along and says, well, you might actually have been judged for this, those things, those terrible, terrible things that you did in your past, you might get judged for those. You might have been watched the whole time, metaphorically or otherwise. But ultimately speaking, you're responsible for those things. It's true anyway, if you believe in God or not. You are responsible for those things. Most people just stick them in a closet, close the door, and try and forget about them. As they do their next heinous thing. Because it's insignificant, they're not important. That's their worldview.
And I agree with that too. People should take responsibility for their actions.
Nicely.
Yeah, I believe sunlight is the best disinfectant. It's really that simple. Just show a light on what these people do, and the rest of the world sees it.
Yeah. Huey has a similar attitude when he's like, just expose them, let them open their mouths. I'll show you what they are.
This is why there's such pushback against this topic of ours, because they want to believe in chance, Big Bang, no accountability, no God. They make themselves God, basically, and make creation the God, one with the universe. Everyone's God. Everyone has the God seed in them, etc., etc. But, no judgment for your choices, no day of reckoning. No, they can't have that. But when you introduce flat Earth and you start using biblical scriptures as well, they fight that real hard.
You think deep down inside they don't know that?
I don't know what they think deep down inside. Some may, some don't. Again, this is not my business. My business is to proclaim the truth and at best validate it and prove it when asked for.
Well, they always say there's no atheist in a foxhole.
I got one off the cuff one time to really tell me why they behave this way. It's about some sort of righteous indignation. They believe they're defending science, so they can do anything they want in the name of science. They're protecting they're protecting humanity from flat earthers who are trying to destroy science. So anything they do, the ends justify the means.
How ironic when they don't have any science, and what they're actually defending is pseudoscience, the right to make up just so stories. That's what they're really defending.
Yeah, it's
a cult.
It's
Took the words right out of my mouth.
It's just a cult. I took a screenshot of one where they said they're hoping for the next Flat Earth convention, so some globalist with the coronavirus can go into there and infect them all. I'm like, think about what you just said there. Really trying to internalize what your plan is to prove the globe.
That makes me smile, because it's wrong on so many levels that we won't get into here, but it's almost hysterical, but very funny.
It is. Like it. It's completely hysterical. The reason why I haven't posted that stuff, because it does show real names and everything on Facebook posts.
It's akin to saying it's akin to a 5-year-old who's scared of the boogeyman, threatening to get the boogeyman to come and get you, right?
I compared it to the use of a bioweapon, like terrorism, just to really kind of kick the hornet when they were acting that way.
Like I say, them wishing death on us is nothing new. Having to leave comments telling me to off myself or drink bleach. That's used to be acceptable in the comments. Now YouTube have overall eradicated that to the most part. It just doesn't. They just don't allow it to be published. Why would they?
Shouldn't be done though, should it? It's not right.
What, people telling you that you shouldn't breed, you should off yourself, jump off a cliff?
Yeah, that's obviously not something to support, is it?
But they used to do it under the guise of defending science. In actuality, pseudoscience. So, for example, gravity. Go and jump off a cliff. You'll find out that gravity's real. No, gravity's a reified mathematical construct. So, no, it won't prove anything. But essentially, you're telling me to kill myself, though, aren't you?
Yeah, that's slightly boiling it down to the base element there, isn't it? We know that gravity, as it's being proposed, is the force to pull things down, isn't it? So, there's a joke there.
Is that what you think? You're under the impression that gravity is a force?
I think there's a joke there, yeah.
Say again?
I think there's a joke there. It's not very good.
Oh, it's a joke. I was going to say, about to launch into debate.
You're ready to go, all guns showing.
A force, you say? Fundy have we in our midst? No, I don't think so.
A downward vector, you say?
So, Nathan, you have a few trigger words that just set you right off, right?
Hearing somebody say the word force within 2 or 3 words of the word gravity.
Well, the new stance is science doesn't prove things, because their pseudoscience doesn't prove things.
Go on, Kiwi. Was that your input, was it, Kiwi?
How's it going, Nathan?
Very well.
Is that all you got, is to mimic my laugh?
That's the baller entrance.
Yeah, how's the show going?
I laugh at you say science doesn't.
Tenth man, you gotta see it like this. We're winning so hard that they've become so desperate that they're now just trying to literally mimic us. out of desperation in order to try and achieve that victory, make it rub off. Maybe if they act like us, they can have it too.
Nathan,
Well said,
he's a
Arvin. Let's hear from this clown. Go ahead.
This clown wants to talk about my stats. So we're detailing how the confession from their side is currently about pseudoscience, and he thinks it's necessary to interrupt me to discuss my stats on YouTube. Right?
You doing well?
So you did just interrupt that to ask me if I'm doing well. You can look it up. If you're that concerned, go to, what's it called, Social Blade. Check it out.
You can't find
Must
it
be
on
doing
Wiki,
all right.
so-
His cornball ass is here.
Yeah, meanwhile, we were talking about the fact that you don't have any science and that there's people who would tell us to take our own lives in defense of pseudoscience that they thought was science. That's what we were discussing.
Could I? Sorry.
No? Tolerable behaviour? Only person here on the globe side?
I thought he was going to put out a well-formed argument instead of mocking a laughter.
No, of course not. They don't have anything.
Alan B's never had an argument. He's always refused to even go into argument. And he
I've
would then
suckered him in a
say,
couple of
why are
times.
you getting so angry? That was Alan B's stick.
Still delivering the newspapers, Owen?
No need, right?
Yes.
We're discussing
Yes, I
reality
do.
and science. Why are you asking us about occupations and statistics when the show isn't about our occupations? This is essentially just an ad hominem attack, isn't it? So you've opened up with an ad
Not
hominem.
really. Just like to keep on top of things.
Can keep on top of my stats on Social Blade. Arwen's career has nothing to do with you.
Paperboy career.
So you are here to ad hom. Right, get the fuck out. Get out, prick. That's what we get from the Globe.
Hey, Alan B, how's your pension
Yeah, I've
doing,
kicked
buddy?
him out.
Huh?
Kicked him out.
Huh?
Don't ad hom him
How's
back.
your pension
No
doing?
need.
Huh?
No. That's why I've kicked him out. That's all he's here for. He's here to go from us discussing how you globe-believing fundies, the ones who think you live on a spinning space ball, flying through a vacuum, you don't have any science. But yet you will behave in the most heinous way to defend what is actually pseudoscience. Now, we discuss actual science here. That's what we detail. Give people explicit detail about what science actually is, how it's benefited humanity, how it's empirical, how the method operates, how pseudoscience is defined. And what would you know? Everything that's used to claim proof of a globe is pseudoscience. That's what we're detailing. So what does the globe defending believer believe that he needs to talk about here? He needs to talk about me and my stats on YouTube and Arwen's job. I say career. That's worthy of a good laugh. Oh, right. Oh, my bad. No, we're talking about the nature of reality. The globe believer wants to talk about our jobs. Ad hom.
Maybe he wants to talk to my
Can I
boss.
read
I'm
out
at work.
an example of a bad faith comment that
People
I've
are
seen?
losers.
I've got two people, Greece and... Is it Greece?
No,
Baby.
it's Baby Obama.
Baby your mama. Your
Obama.
mama. Sorry, I'm talking over you. Say it once without anybody interrupting you. Say it once more.
Baby Obama. Yoda and Obama together.
Baby Obama. Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Why Yoda and why Obama?
Well, I found a picture and it was of Obama, so I used that.
Oh, you've got it. I see. I just can't see.
It doesn't actually carry anything.
Okay. Should I, as a black man, take offence to this?
I doubt it.
Yes.
Maybe he wants to
Hold
set a
on. This is
precedent.
serious stuff. Does society say I should take offence to this as a black man?
Probably.
No.
Oh,
Okay,
black
it's
man,
all
I
good
think
then.
it's funny.
So it's all good. Excellent. No racism here then. Excellent.
I was going to say maybe he wanted to set a precedence with his channel name.
Maybe. Sorry, just quick shout out to Unitox Femu. Thank you very much for the super chat, Unitox Femu. He says, Kiwi, are you speaking without mask? Or you are fruit? That's very cryptic. Does anybody... Can somebody decipher that super chat? Thank you very much, though, Unitox Femu. Kiwi, you are speaking without mask, ... Or you are fruit.
Well, kiwi is a fruit, and kiwi is a slang for New Zealander, I think, right?
Yeah, New Zealander.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Jolly good. Thank you very much for the super chat.
And it used to be a little bird.
Hit and miss, isn't it, sometimes with Unitox Femu? Some of them are very, very poignant. Some of them I don't understand. Although it's been explained. Thank you very much.
so interesting why Alan B showed up when he showed up with nonsense, huh? We were talking about the creator. He does have a problem with the creator.
Divining his thoughts now.
Oh, I know he has a problem. He's told us. What do you mean dividing his thoughts? I remember him and QE going back and forth.
Good stuff. Right, 20 minutes. I think we've rounded out the conversation that started off in the pre-show. Should we do a bit of housekeeping?
Of course.
Before we do that, good morning.
Good morning, Paul. Okie dokie. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Refraction.
Refraction.
Just getting a few buzzwords parroted out, am I? Is that what we're getting?
That's just what they always say when we see too far.
Refraction. Okay, let's break that down then, as it's not getting any response from you guys. So when they say refraction, their refraction is based on an R value. It's called terrestrial refraction, otherwise known as standard refraction. And to utilise this R-based refraction, you require a geometric horizon to derive the R value from. And the current rebuttal to the Black Swan argument is that we do not see, wouldn't expect to see, a geometric horizon. The geometric horizon only exists in maths. So you can't derive an R value, as Al-Biruni is claimed to have done, by measuring said geometric horizon if it doesn't exist beyond the mathematics. So there's no R value to give you terrestrial refraction if you can't derive R by measuring a geometric horizon. As I say, we are being told we wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. You cannot see the geometric horizon, and the geometric horizon only exists in maths. So there's no R to give them their refraction. So when they say refraction, they'll often talk at length about actual atmospheric conditions only to utilise a bait and switch, where they substitute in their terrestrial refraction, which utilises the R value. In standard form, 7/6R. That would be the radius value that they're presupposing light bends around when deriving an R value from a geometric horizon that can't be measured.
Could you explain that to me, Nathan? Because, I have prescription glasses, and they have a refractive index, and that obviously isn't using R.
Yeah, as I say, they will use actual refractive conditions in the atmosphere, not necessarily through the transition of a different medium altogether, in your case glass, but the actual conditions that they will detail at some point will be substituted for an R-based refraction, a mathematical refraction, a refraction that takes place when looking at the world in a side view, not as we actually observe it. So they'll bait and switch one for the other. So while you can describe the refractive indexes of glass, what they would do is, if that was the comparison, substitute in 7/6R instead of what the detailed your glass does. The same is said for the atmosphere. They'll discuss how the air has the light bending through it, and it might be accurate, but at some point they'll just substitute in their maths in Muppet Vision side-on orthographic view, watching a bent line bend around a presupposed sphere Earth at the rate of 7/6R. They don't have R anymore.
I see.
So Nathan, since they say the Earth is a sphere and they're basing it on the radius, the R value, all they got to do is show us the curve. And at 1 foot observer height, that curve has to start at 1.22 miles out. And they can't show that ever. So then what they do is they go to refraction and how it works on a plane. Some days I see Catalina Island, some days I can't see Catalina Island. So they haven't proven anything. They just need to show us a curve. Now, you've been on the plane, you haven't seen the curve. I've been on the plane, I haven't seen the curve. So the higher up you go, you should be able to see it much better, but we don't. But the real test is just get 1 foot above sea level and see how far you could see and where's the horizon in your viewing, especially on a clear day when there's no fog. It's always past 1.22 miles and there's no curve, so there's no blockage. The curve has to block the bottoms of boats if the Earth is a sphere. It's not there. That black swan is killer. It's over for the globe.
Yeah. So if somebody doesn't want to go into the detail of modus tollens and how this logical consistency debunks the notion that we have a sphere edge for a horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, in the picture that we've got on screen now, the assumption detailed a moment ago by 10th Man is that what you are looking at is a physical sphere edge. So the horizon, if you're a globe earther, is a physical edge. That's what is dictating the idea that if you are a 6-foot man, your horizon at the beach is about 3 miles away, because that's the geometry of a sphere Earth. So that is the assumption, that the horizon's a physical sphere edge. Now, wouldn't you know, by coincidence, we as flat earthers are challenged to show globe earthers, because of a propagated nonsense from the Flat Earth Society, an edge. Where's your edge? Oh yeah, boats falling over the edge of the flat Earth, are they? And we don't assert that nonsense. It's put out by the controlled nonsense of the Flat Earth Society. However, the edge for a glober is what's on screen. That's a physical sphere edge to you, with physical sphere edge geometry. And it isn't. The horizon is not a physical edge. So that's why we have their weakest part of their argument shoved in our face to prove on our side as a nonsense of a flat Earth edge. No such thing has been claimed by us. It's put out there by the controlled opposition. But you, globeheads, do have an edge. You think the horizon's your globe edge. And you think boats go over it furthermore, wouldn't you know? So that's exactly why we have that shoved at us, with a picture of a boat going over a flat Earth edge. Because your weakest part of your argument is that you think the horizon is a physical sphere edge for boats to go over. So in the most literal terms, you project your weak argument onto us to prove, for our argument, that we haven't made. We don't assert that boats should fall off the edge of some disc flying up through space, a sky vacuum, as asserted by the Flat Earth Society. But you fundies on the globe side, you definitely need an edge to give you an R value. And you need boats to be obscured by that physical edge to claim that the geometry of your Earth curve maths is real. But yet when we debunk it with the black swan, we're told we can't see a physical geometric horizon. And what is a geometric physical horizon? That's Earth curve. So they're telling us on the globe side, in defence of the black swan, we can't see Earth curve. You wouldn't expect to see Earth curve. Earth curve only exists in Earth curve maths. That's what they're telling us. It's beautiful.
Well said.
I wonder, like, what, we do observations and they said refraction. We do laser tests, they say refraction. Like, I wonder how what would settle it all, like a mile long straight edge to, like how the hell would something satisfy everyone?
It wouldn't, because as I just explained to the other chap, baby Obama, they do a bait and switch. So when you're talking about laser tests, they might be able to really accurately describe how that occurs. Yeah? Detail the atmospheric conditions that they will claim later to be 7/6R. Yeah? So all they'll ever do is put it in side view and bend it at a rate presupposed by the R value derived by measuring a horizon as being physical and a sphere edge, when it is not. So they have to perform a bait and switch when they say refraction. That's why they say refraction for everything. Because in their mathematics of a sphere Earth, looking at it in side view, they can bend that line any way they like in the maths. That's why they say refraction is a carte blanche excuse. Because they've got terrestrial refraction, presupposing that Earth's a sphere, and presupposing light bends around the sphere at the rate of 7/6 of the radius of the sphere they presupposed. That's why they say refraction. It's catch-all to put you in their maths. And as soon as you say, oh, right, okay, what refraction does that, does it? They'll take you to their maths. Yeah, there you go. And if you say, well, that's just a mathematical derivation of your presupposition that we're on a sphere, they go, nah, it's based on calculating out and averaging all of the atmospheric conditions to arrive at this mathematical side-on view of light bending around my presupposed sphere Earth. It's perfectly legit for me to beg the question and then beg the question again that light bends around it. What's that you say? The horizon's not in the position it should be anymore? Well, we've got a triple your trouble fallacy then. I assume Earth's a sphere. I assume light bends around the sphere at the rate of 7/6 of the physical sphere that gives us the R value to bend it. And I assume that the same refraction at 7/6 R will bend the horizon that I've based the refraction on at the rate of the physical sphere to move the physical sphere edge to a different location. It's a never-ending fallacy upon fallacy upon fallacy. Just assume your outcome. Assume your outcome has changed your outcome. Assume the outcome that's changed your outcome has moved the physical assumption to a different position with the assumed changing of refraction in the R value-based maths. It's just preposterous. The hoops they have to jump through to believe they're on a sphere when you get to this level must leave them in so much pain.
And it's interesting that everyone knows what perspective is. We've covered this so many times. It seems like they just can't. Well, they're fighting this one for sure. Because, like I said the other day on the show, where if you're standing at a small, say, grocery store as you're traveling towards a mountain, and you see the mountain way off in the distance, the building, the grocery store that you're standing in front of, is bigger than the mountain is blocking the mountain. But as you get closer to the mountain size becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, that mountain has always been that tall, and that size doesn't change. But from a distance, because of perspective, it looked smaller than the building, the grocery store. But because of perspective, as you get closer, the physical size shows itself. It doesn't change physically, but the further you are, because of the compression and angular resolution and all that, they don't ever attribute that to what they look out at the horizon at. They minus that from everything, because that's the death knell for them.
Yeah, this is on screen now a representation of Muppet vision. So when they give you the Earth curve maths, everything you're looking at will be attributed a feet and inches size. Now the fact that for the feet and inches size to remain the same at distances where the angular size would increase or decrease depending on distance is to remove perspective from the Earth curve maths. So when they're comparing Earth curve maths, you've got the sphere Earth, and then you've got you on the left and the target on the right, and then they draw a line between them. But you can write whatever value you like on the line if you give it in feet and inches. So for example, even though this is depicting it with the angular relationships, if this building is, say, 20 foot, I can write in orthographic view 100 miles on this line. 100 miles. And this building, in terms of its representation at 20 foot, is still accurate. Still a 20 foot building, right? Well, no. At 100 miles, the angular size has decreased vastly. And to the point where the bottom angle, which is the smaller angle, the more you're looking towards the bottom over the deck, the smaller the angle. Well, the angular limitation will be the thing that makes the bottom of this disappear first, because it's at the most limited angle. So when you split the angle in half, obviously you've got a wide angle to all of it, but as you go down the building versus the deck, you've got a narrower and narrower angle. Well, you'll reach the limit of angular resolution at the bottom of the item, because it's on the deck, quicker than the top. Well, that effect has been called Earth curve. You can also induce the same effect with atmospheric conditions. But they call that refraction at the rate of 7/6R, when asserting that the reason the bottom's disappeared is because at 100 miles, for the sake of argument, because I can write whatever value I like in this depiction, it's excluding perspective, they say that Earth curve, the physical Earth curve edge, that would be the geometric horizon, has blocked the bottom of this building. Well, the blocking of it by way of geometric physicality has now been debunked by the Black Swan. Quote, we do not see the geometric horizon. Quote, we would not expect to see the geometric horizon. Quote, nobody is asserting that we see physical geometry. Quote, the geometric horizon only exists in maths. These are all quotes from globeheads telling us how we don't see physical Earth curve getting in the way of stuff, because we don't see physical Earth curve. They call it geometry or geometric horizon, but that's the thing that's supposed to be blocking the boats and buildings, and they're simultaneously telling us we don't see it because we've debunked it with the Black Swan.
Well, I've been speaking to a guy called Jeremy, and he's got an idea. So he had an idea to test for the shape of the Earth, and it didn't incorporate anything to do with fraction or things like this. All that was required was the construction of a mile-long, perfectly straight object. And the argument being that you take this over water, as in a flat piece of water, and if it was a curve, you would then expect an 8-inch drop or space between the surface of the water and the bottom of this object, a mile from where you have it touching the water, or in the case where it's flat, it would be touching all along. And I thought that was a very good idea, actually.
Why would you do that when water does it already?
Took the words out of my mouth. Water displays that property by itself.
Yes, but you need to do the test to verify that, because the ballers are saying that the water curves with the shape of the planet.
Yeah, I know they presuppose that straight is curved. However, the principles employed by Euclid have erected plenty of structures already based on the principles of water maintaining its level.
Yes, but of course they say there's a difference between level and flat. This test would verify that.
It's getting to a point. It's getting to a point where you say 2 and 2 is 4. They say, well, no, it could be something else. And then you show them why 2 and 2 is 4. Well, no, I don't accept that. You say, look, here's in every society, in every math, 2 and 2 is 4. No, I know you're saying that, but at some point you just say, all right, fine, we're done with you. So if they want to say water doesn't find its level, at what point do you say, I'm done with you? If they want to say straight is curved, at what point do you say that's a violation of law of non-contradiction? There's time.
Well, it has nothing to do with that, does it? This is just the construction of something which is perfectly flat, and then comparing that against the shape of the planet. I think that's a perfectly valid test.
Well, no, I know, that's my point. Why would I have to go construct something over something that already shows me what flat is?
Because you're verifying it, aren't you?
The verification is the water finding its level.
Yeah, no, but that conforms then to the surface of the Earth, no matter what shape it is. But then
Well, if it conforms,
comparing that
if it
against
conforms
something
to
we know
this,
to be flat is a perfectly sane verification to do.
if it conforms to the surface of the Earth, then where's the geometric horizon at 1.22 miles?
Well, that has nothing to do with it, does it? I'm saying that
No, it
you
has
are
everything to
comparing
do
the
with it,
surface to this perfectly flat object. It has nothing to do
What
with
I'm
the
trying to say,
horizons.
it has
That was
everything to do with
the
it.
beauty
because,
in that test.
Okay.
Hold on, dude. Just let him reply. Go ahead, Tent.
It has everything to do with it, because once you prove 2 and 2 is 4, as my example, there isn't much more you can do once you've proven it. Once you prove water finds its level, and it's used for levels, and it's been used for years, and it goes with geometry, there's nothing more you can do for these people, because their own math says that the water is curved at 1.22 miles. We say, good, once you show me water curving at 1.22 miles, then we can talk about your sphere. But guess what? It doesn't. The horizon's behind it.
I still see no problem with this test, because it would just verify that. As in, it would verify the shape.
So you don't accept that water is a tell of a shape?
No, I'm saying that there's nothing wrong with the test which this Jeremy guy has proposed.
And who's it going to convince once he does it?
Well, anyone who sees it.
And if water already does what he's going to do to validate what water does already, what's the difference? It's already been done.
Well, it's like any verification, isn't it? So we claim the water does one thing. We do this test where we have this perfectly flat object, and it verifies it. So I think
How
it's
about them
perfectly
showing
fine.
me water curving, and then we can do the test?
The test is going to verify it, isn't it?
No, I'm saying if you can show me
right.
water
Now you're
curves,
going around in
then I'll
circles.
do
Stop.
this test.
Stop. So their surveyors are going to assume that these principles, I said this already, are demonstrated as true. So beyond their presupposition, this is geodetic surveyors, they're going to assume Earth's a sphere, and then use Euclidean principles to actually measure it. So it's already established that these tools demonstrate flatness, and the plane that they operate on is assumed to have level surfaces, as in the elevations are the same across an overall surface that they're using these tools that use water to build on the flat surface that they're utilising. They call that surface a tangent plane. Tangent because they've presupposed it's on a sphere, plane because they're considering it flat, and then using Euclidean principles that use these water levels to demonstrate how flat it is.
Yeah, but this is where Jeremy's idea is different, isn't it? Jeremy's idea is to build what they are calling the tangent, and then you will see how much drop there is or isn't, and then verify the shape.
We already know there isn't. So it's already been mapped out. You've only got to go to Google
That's what I'm saying.
Earth and see that the elevations do not drop, and they are measured as such to know that they're not dropping. So we use Google Earth as a flat Earth proof. Look, there's no drop. But you're saying, well, if I do it with a water level that's principally designed to show flat and use that way to erect buildings over vast areas, that if we do it in this way, somehow with the presupposition that it's not, even though it is, we'll demonstrate otherwise. This makes absolutely no sense. I'm not criticising you, it's not your idea.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What Jeremy said is quite different. So, because they will be telling us that to a tangent line there'll be an 8-inch drop, right? His thing is to construct an object which would act as that tangent line. So, of course, when you don't get that 8-inch drop, it would verify it to flow flat.
Don't need to do that. We've already verified that the tangent point isn't arbitrarily assigned by something that's built. It's dictated by the physical geometry of a claimed to be sphere Earth. And we would have a tangent point. That would be the horizon. A physical tangent point. That's what their geometry is based on. It's not based on this erector set.
But it would verify what we are saying is true.
No.
So I
the
think
verification would be the horizon being physical, with physical parameters. That's what would be verifying it, because that's what they use. Now, what we do in the aftermath is irrelevant. Their assumption is that we've got a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon, and it is, ipso facto, their tangent point. Now, you're saying, let's erect a tangent point. What, draw one to an arbitrary position that isn't the horizon? That's not how their model works. And their model requires a physical geometry to give them an R and a tangent point, which is the horizon. It isn't. We've debunked that. So there's nothing further required. We've debunked that they've got a tangent point. Their tangent point was Earth curve, by the way.
I still see there's nothing wrong with this idea so far. Because it doesn't really involve the horizon. It's just to make something perfectly straight.
Oh, really? Well, the horizon is fundamental to their sphere Earth belief, though. So this is basically irrelevant then. It's just a folly. Because the geometric sphere Earth horizon is what they base their belief on. So if this has nothing to do with the horizon, which is the tangent point for the globe Earth, and has been debunked by the Black Swan, it's kind of surplus to requirements.
But it's a test where there's no optical effects which could be argued. It is just constructing something which is perfectly flat, line it up against flat water, and showing that there's no drop.
But I can do that with Google.
Right
I can do that already with 1,000,001 different surveys. Even Google Earth, I've already covered this. It shows there's no drop. The elevations are the same across these distances. Other than the topology of the land,
maybe so.
There is no drop.
But that doesn't mean this test is no good. This could be used in addition to this.
To show that water level is level when that principle's used to actually erect the buildings in the first place. We know. Euclid showed us. We already know. It's a principle. Euclidean geometry. This isn't something that needs proving. It's a principle that's used to build stuff. Euclidean principles are used already. We don't need to prove it. It's already done.
Yeah, no, this test is just to verify it, and it was with a means where
verify
it didn't have any optical
if
effects.
It wasn't verified, the buildings would be falling down.
But this would directly counter their argument of this 8-inch drop a mile.
No. What directly counters that argument is the assertion that we have a physical geometric tangent point formerly known as Earth curve. That's what the model requires. not this erector set. Third time I've said that. Why'd you keep repeating it?
I still think that it's perfectly valid. In
Okay, off you
addition to
go.
what else has
Lovely,
been said.
thanks. That's wonderful. Go off and do it. Present it when you've done it. It's not required in the slightest. The Black Swans debunk the Earth having a physical tangent point for a horizon, which is what is required for their model to work. So this is absolutely surplus to
I don't know
requirement.
why you're against it. It's another test. It's in addition.
Test? What kind of test? Scientific test?
No, it's just a test. And
What kind of
verifies
test? It's
the shape.
scientific test? Is it scientifically? Is it going to give us empirical validation of what you're claiming?
Well, it will counter their claims, won't it?
So
No, what will counter
doing?
their claims is the Black Swan because it requires a tangent point called the horizon, and that is debunked by the Black Swan. Ergo, their model, the assertion that their model implies by presupposition that the Earth is a sphere, has been left untenable. No, it's not useful. It's not a scientific test. It's not going to empirically validate anything. It's not required. Sorry.
But they argue against the Black Swan with atmospheric refraction.
Oh, really? Well, atmospheric refraction doesn't give you a geometric horizon. So while they might make that claim that atmospheric refraction, well, that's not geometry. Do you understand that if the horizon is refracted, it's not geometric, and their model is a geometric model? Do you understand that?
I do, but I still rate.
I don't care what you think. So you understand that their debunking that you've presented on their behalf is meaningless then?
I was just saying that they are.
Just acknowledge that you understand their argument's meaningless, because you've presented it as though it's an argument that should be considered when I've debunked it with this following statement, which you'll now repeat, hopefully. If the horizon is refracted, it is not geometric, and that is required by a geometric model.
All I said is.
I don't want you to tell me what you said. I want you to repeat what I've just said, and I'm questioning why you won't. If the horizon's refracted, it's not geometric. You do understand that, don't you?
Because I'm not here to say prayer. I'm here to just talk, aren't I?
But just acknowledge what I've said, because we're in discussion, and now you seem to be being unreasonable. Why would you not want to acknowledge that if the horizon's...
I just put forward Jeremy's idea.
Yeah, and I debunked the notion that we'd even require such a stupid idea. We've debunked the idea of having a physical tangent point, not with an erector set that isn't required, but with the Black Swan that debunks the idea we have a physical geometric horizon, which would give them a tangent point to base everything their model is based on. And they don't have that anymore. We've debunked it. So this is surplus to requirements. I've gone over that. But you seem reluctant to acknowledge that a geometric horizon is not refracted. And that was what you claimed debunks the Black Swan, therefore needing us to use this erector set while you interrupt me. I wonder why you're interrupting me. That's strange too. So,
I think...
So, a geometric horizon's not refracted. Could you repeat that for me?
A geometric horizon is not refracted.
So the assertion that you gave that they would debunk the Black Swan with this horseshit is irrelevant then. We don't need your nonsense erector set. Or Jeremy, whoever the fuck Jeremy is. We don't need his erector set because we've
Jeremy's
debunked...
a great guy.
We've debunked this already with the Black Swan though, so we don't need this erector set, do we?
But it's another argument in addition.
Hang on. We're at an impasse, but it's really simple to fix it. Nathan said, when their arguments are meaningless, why is Jeremy wanting to go past once their argument is meaningless? Why another proof when the argument for the Black Swan is nothing? They don't have one. They lose already right there.
Because
so why go one step further with another... Hey, let me finish. When someone gives you a meaningless answer, you won. It's over.
Yeah,
I understand that, but Jeremy's idea completely subverts their argument with the atmospheric refraction.
No, their argument isn't an argument. You know, I struggled to get you to repeat it. Eventually you did. That's not an argument. You think that needs subverting? No. The horizon that they claim is refracted is not geometric. So this isn't an argument that needs subverting with an erector set either. It's not an argument. Geometric, this mathematical value, that gives you a tangent point, a physical sphere edge. That's what geometry requires. Now, a refracted value is not that. So when they say, well, refraction gets around there, it doesn't. It doesn't leave them with the geometry they require. There's no subversion needed by Jeremy's bullshit. No, none whatsoever. The Black Swan's done it for you, mate. Now, you don't want to accept it because they say refraction. You could just laugh at them. Or point out that a refracted horizon's not geometric.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll take it back to Jeremy.
Who's Jeremy?
Oh, he's the guy. He's the guy who came up with the idea. He's got a few ideas.
Who is he?
Like setting up tangent lines and then
Who is he, though?
debunking the drop.
Who is he?
He's a guy that hangs around.
Are you talking about the flat
debate
earther,
servers.
Jeremy?
I don't know. We're trying to establish if he's someone
Yeah.
we know or not.
Yeah, I know who he's talking
Yeah,
about.
so he hangs around 24/7 and all the other discords which debate flat earth.
Might be a better idea to get him in. No offence to you. You're just the messenger. I appreciate that. So I'm being hard on you because the reason for his motivation, and it's not yours, is surplus to requirements. Tried to make that clear.
I see, but thank you.
My pleasure. Sorry if my tone is harsh with you specifically. It's the argument I'm attacking, not you.
We know it's flat, but like just one more proof, and it'll do it, and it'll be definitive.
Well, what we're needing is a
Gotcha.
concession, and we're not getting a concession. So we're going to come up with another flat test.
We've had a concession. The concession we have received is as follows. We do not see the geometric horizon. The geometric horizon is the tangent point in their geometry. And it is that tangent point that they say we cannot see that is supposed to be blocking boats and buildings. I.e., we're supposed to see it blocking boats and buildings, and they say we can't see it. They've already given us the concession. Their concession, we don't see the geometric horizon, is paraphrased as follows. We do not see Earth curve. That is what the globe earthers are telling us is the case based on the Black Swan argument being put to them. Their rebuttal is, we don't see Earth curve. That's their response.
Yeah, that's what I want them to say. They don't say that. They say refraction.
No. They require geometry, as I explained to the last guy. So saying, oh, refraction. Well, what refraction? We went through this at the beginning of the show too. Their refraction's based on the geometry. It's got an R in it.
So it has to be seen.
You need the geometric physical sphere edge tangent point to give you R, to give you 7/6R, which is their refraction. So when they go, refraction, well, what kind of refraction, fundy globehead moron? Terrestrial refraction, with an R in it. Well, for that R, the geometric value, you need a tangent point, don't you now? And what's that you say we haven't got one? We don't draw a straight line to a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve that block boats and buildings. We don't have that. Well, then we don't have Earth curve.
That's why it's number one.
Yeah, the model's untenable. That's how the Black Swan has left them. While we can't get them to concede in most cases, their rebuttal is a concession in this instance. Their rebuttal, we can't see the geometric horizon, it only exists in maths, is saying Earth curve only exists in maths. Never a truer statement was made.
That's for sure.
But thank you for presenting it, Obama.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it was good because the finer points came out in the back and forth.
Final points like Earth is flat.
Yeah.
Welcome to flat Earth.
They got to show us Earth curve for them to have any argument. They can't show us Earth curve.
Earth curve.
Look at that. Do you remember me telling...
That old and busted shit?
Remember me
It's only
telling...
in their math, right? Because if they could show it to us, then it's in reality. But they only say it exists in math. And when you say based on your R, it's supposed to be here. They say, yeah, well, it's not there because of refraction. So it's not physical. So it's not a sphere.
It's almost like they literally don't understand. The fact that they're saying it only exists in math is the exact reason why we are here. because it doesn't exist in physical reality. It only exists in math. Yeah, it's a model. It's a mathematical thought experiment.
Yeah, I had this conversation just the other day. I say, you know that everything you believe to a person about the globe is based on a model. It's not reality. The globe model says at 1.22 miles, the curve has to be there at 1 foot high. It's not there, which means it's a reification of a model. Their eyes popped open. What do you mean a model? I said, it's not reality. It's just a globe model.
Yes, round and round we go.
Around and round we go, did you say?
Yeah, just long distance observations, refraction. It's refraction, always refraction.
Right, but refraction is not their strong point. It's the death. If they go refraction, it's over for them. They don't even know it.
Yeah, but the ballers are concise. They have refraction. That's their one word, concise. Rebuttal, refraction, right? For Earth curve. And then why is this spinning, whirling, flying water ball staying under so much control? And oh, well, that's just gravity. And then what's their third one? We all know that very well. You don't understand.
Well, if it's refraction, then it's no longer geometric, so it's over right there.
Right, there's been a whole bunch of super chats that I've not shouted out, so I'll do them now. So Unitox replied, he said, "Not only Kiwi entrance was amazing. No, only Kiwi entrance was amazing." I'm not even going to try and decipher that. "If you drop Kiwi from building, you can prove gravity," says Unitox Vemu. So thank you for triple hitting the super chat, and also good servant who got a super chat right in at the end. So thank you very much indeed to all of you for smashing the super chat. Anything anybody wants to add before we round out? All go at once.
Wish they tried just a little bit harder. At least for entertainment purposes.
Fair enough. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Well, that was a dull end to the show. It was a good show, and then right at the end, everyone's like,
I was hoping Chocolate was going to say something, so I've been talking a lot, so I just stayed quiet.
It's funny because I was going to say something, but I was like, nah.
you all sense
it. But I was just going to point out, because somebody said, every response is, refraction. Refraction is everything. And in Andrew Thomas Young, I remember reading his thing, and literally in the introduction, he goes back to what the word refraction means. Literally means broken back, right? So their response to us after asking them what we asked them is broken back. Everything about your model is broken. That's your response to us.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's why I thought it was kind of funny. Like literally what they're saying. Because your man, Andrew Thomas, said it means broken back.
Chocolate. Maybe that's why they have no spine, and show up to the shows anymore.
Okay, what does that mean in literal terms? So, what does that mean? It means deviated from straight. That's what refracted means, right? It's no longer travelling in a straight path, it's deviated. Broken back, that's what that means. Yeah? Well, what's a tangent line? For geometry, that is. Anybody at all?
That's a straight line to your tangent point.
A straight line to a tangent point. So, to do geometry, you need a tangent line to a tangent point. And in earth curve maths, the tangent point's earth curve, and the line that you're drawing between you and that point is straight to give you geometry. When they say it's a refracted line, a bent line, a line with a broken back, it's not a tangent line anymore. And you need that to do geometry. That's where the argument ends. Oh, right, well, the horizon's refracted. Oh, right, that's not geometric then. You can't do geometry with that then. Your model's geometric. Your assertion is geometric. Your assertion needs a tangent line. Your assertion is that we've got a tangent point blocking boats, but we haven't got any of that. Bye-bye, globe model. End of the road. Talking of roads, what we got here, Paul?
Sorry, I was trying to get to the mute button. Yeah, this is me driving yesterday, and the point I was going to say how much things can refract and change. Well, you see what the motorcycle guy is. If you look kind of down to the right hand where the tire meets, you can see the white line, and obviously this is a curved area. But look how much that white line kind of deviates towards the biker. I mean, from where I'm looking, it looks like it could be at least 3 feet, probably, potentially. You know, if I was to try to do a measurement on it. But that's how much, this is over a short distance. Let me zoom back so you can see I zoomed in on it, but let me zoom back out. That's the shot, that's me taking the shot. But if you zoom in, you can see how much, just right that one little spot right there causes a straight line, well, it'd be relatively straight line to deviate drastically off in the distance because of refraction. You can see it on the yellow line on the other side as well. It deviates towards the motorcycle rider. So if this is potential in a short distance, what happens when you put it at a long distance? What would happen? There's denser atmosphere, more temperature variation. What could happen to that line? Does straight lines look curved in that sense, maybe?
Well, just looking at your picture, Paul, if you look further in front of him to that car at the crest of the next hill, those lines remain straight. But when they hit that dip where he's at and the heat off the asphalt, it starts making those curves.
Right, it's the temperature variation. Yeah, but it was pretty hot yesterday, but then obviously the concrete's a lot hotter than the air around it. That's what's causing that line to deviate.
Well, and then the white line next to the left of him looks solid, but as you look in the front of your frame, they're spaced apart, so they all meld in together, looking like it's one solid line of white.
Right, but in reality, its sight causes straight lines to look curved, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you couldn't tell if you look forward if the right side, the white line is solid on the right side. On the left side is a dotted white line, but in the foreground, I mean, further up, they all look solid. So there's a lot of things in this picture.
Yeah, you got angular resolution, you got refraction, you got perspective, kind of all things happening in this picture all at once, right?
And yet across the road coming our way, the traffic coming our way, the white line is dotted. It's not solid.
Right.
Yeah, because you got a different
either
angle.
one of you pick up on my point as well?
Your point.
Well, that in geometry, things are all straight and all that, but with real sight perspective also included, yeah, a sight tends to make straight lines look curved. Not always, of course, not if they're like the horizon or something, but overall, yeah, geometrically straight lines tend to become optically curved by the observer. Doesn't mean that they are, though, and it's definitely not the other way around. You know, circles never become straight lines and curves inside. It's never the other way around. That dispels their entire terrestrial refraction concept.
Yeah, actually you're making a good point there, Erwin. I never thought about that, but yeah, is there, because of refraction, are any of these lines looking straight? That's a good point.
Right, because even though these lines have been measured potentially as perfectly straight, I'm not saying in this specific picture, you know, you can put a ruler next to it, a water level, all that, and yeah, it's straight. Well, you can find probably some angle of viewing it where it just visually in the picture doesn't look entirely straight, but it has been measured to be straight.
You want to see
It's
my
never the
equivalent?
other way around, though.
Just click on mine in the Hangout. I'll just stick it up in the audience. See that?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that. What was that?
Nathan put up a picture right now.
It's one of the ones that just runs on the reel in the background, but I've picked relevant pictures for that reason. So just by sheer coincidence, it happened to be rolling by as you were discussing this. So I paused it on it. Yeah, you're right, Paul. In your picture, you've got it all going on. You've even got something that I once saw by Al Kay when he was driving up and down a bumpy road in Scotland, and the angle to these points where they're dipping down also has a diffraction limit within it, and I suspect that's why you've got this tiny little bit of pointing towards the motorcycle. You've got a white line pointing towards him. That's just a bit of the diffraction limit, because the angle to that particular section, which is going down slightly, is going to be far more limited, and therefore you get these, as I say, I've got a video of this using Al Kay's footage. You get these limitations that cause things to have the diffraction limit be made much more visually obvious. In other words, you'll see what is described in the Rayleigh criterion actually happening. I might go and dig it out. Actually, I'm going to dig out that video. Just talk amongst yourselves.
Right. Isn't that picture from Paul basically a combination of entering the miraging zone that's also achieved through the heat? I think he even mentioned that. But you don't see it because this is still picture. If it was a video, you would see that much more clearly that is the case.
But that's what I'm looking for. That's exactly what Al Kay's got. So if I can find it, I hope I can find it. I've got 2,000 videos to look through, though, hence I want you to talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, definitely. When you look down, especially, he said it was a hot day, you're going to see the heat waves right off the asphalt. Scale back, Paul. Can you go back to the full view of this picture without the zoom in?
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of heat. Not a lot of heat seeing of the heat this day, but you could see a lot of miraging when you're driving. You could see a lot of that on the road. Like especially when it was on level, when the road was more level, you would see more miraging occurring, and it would look like the sky was, you could see that there was slightly more down, the horizon, so to speak, would be slightly more lowered because of the miraging effect. I don't know if I got any pictures of that.
Well, I'm just looking at the telephone poles on the right side, how they perspective, they get smaller and smaller and reach that what do you call it? Vanishing point.
Okay, I found this. So what I might do, just so you guys can actually discuss it, is and keep talking amongst yourselves. I'll figure out a way so I can actually show it to you as well as the audience.
Yeah, so the clouds, a lot of clouds in the sky, and obviously further down, it looks like it's actually touching the Earth, but we know it's not.
Well, here's something to consider too. Yeah, we had some storms going on too around this time. So there was over to the left, there was some storms occurring, lightning and rain. And so you wonder how much the barometric pressure could also be affecting what's going on here too.
Yep. And you're what, 3 feet, 3.5, 4 feet above the ground in your car?
Right. So I would judge the picture that Nathan put up as a combination of having the diffraction effect, looking past the flat surface, crossing the mountain zone, and heat amplified.
Hello. Just wait until I tell you. I'm not. The audience can't see anything yet. I'm just setting it up so you can see it. I've just explained that to you. Just give me a minute.
Okay.
Sorry.
You were ahead of the curve, Arvin.
You can see it. The audience can't. Normally it's the other way around.
No, the curve is not ahead of me.
Right. Okay. Fine. Just now, both you and the audience can see what's happening. Right. So I'm going to change the speed of this video because it's back when I used to make them as snappy as possible. Okay. I'll just play it.
Whoa. That is freaky.
Got a bunch of examples in here. This one's Jose J.G. Gonzalez with his camera phone. Anti-flat Earth with his eggs on a running course, whatever you call it, track. But the ones I want to actually discuss are the ones that I showed as the opener, but there's a few more lengthy examples of that with the 5 Series, the BMW. Get to it in a second. Here we go. See the number plate forming at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
It just ate it.
The car ahead is at the crest of the hill. Squeezing
the Mirage, the doubling.
It's just squeezing the angle.
Yeah.
In case anybody is wondering why these are so blurry, it's because they're being done with the tiny aperture with the camera phone, whereas this particular one was done with a P900 strapped down in a passenger seat. So the quality of it's miles better. When I first saw this, I was like aghast, and it's this Globe Earther that's done this.
Yeah, it looks pretty amazing.
Need to keep talking because there's often people that watch these as MP3s or listen to these rather. we're all going, wow.
Yeah. It's definitely not going over the curvature of the Earth, you know. We've seen these sites before at the horizon. Definitely not curve-based.
Mic check.
I was just trying to tell you guys, I can't talk as you can hear in the background. That's all.
Hello, whoever
you guys
said
hear
mic
me?
check.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you guys are disconnected from the Discord.
Oh, really?
They're having their own conversation there, and you guys are having your own conversation here.
Oh, that's no bad thing.
Okay.
I'll reconnect.
Just
I'll
let you know.
refresh it
I'll see you guys later.
Yeah,
right,
I will refresh it. Thank you for letting me know. I'll refresh it once we've finished discussing this video. I didn't know we'd been disconnected, but hopefully we'll get into a wrap.
Right. No worries. Just people were wondering what's going on in Discord. That's all.
Okay. Has anybody got any comments from the Discord, from the G Plus panel on what's been presented on screen? Because it's about to end, and I'll just reconnect.
Yeah. Diffraction limit induced concealment effect due to looking at a very limited viewing angle over a straight surface, potentially an aggravated enhanced the overall blurring and refraction mirage effect due to heat, which is typically gathered up on a asphalt road. That was my comment.
Wow. Concise words at that. Well said, Armin.
Okay, right. Well, what I'll do then is I'll refresh Discord and hopefully we'll get them back and see how it goes.
Are they back?
In Discord? Hello, Discord, can you hear us? Still can't hear us. I'll completely disconnect and reconnect then.
Yeah, something's off.
They formed their own echo chamber.
Limited listening angle happened at Diffraction Discord. Yeah, I mean, they always say, Arwin, that it could only happen on a sphere, but really it happens over a plane because of the compression off the deck.
No, I can't get into Discord since I've been moved from the live show to the after show. I don't know if I'm interrupting them talking either because I have no idea if they can hear me.
I wanted to respond, but I was on mute by myself. So, but yeah, 10th man. The effect happens on a flat plane and it happens over a curve as well. So the original assumption from the ballers tying in with the machinations of their curvature calculator is that when things go disappearing bottoms up, it's not exclusively attributable to curve. Even though it does also happen on a hill, but it also just as well happens due to perspective, limited viewing angle on confirmed measured flat surfaces. And that's
right.
That's the whole point.
No, I got that. And that's what I liked it for, because if we were on a sphere, then that geometric horizon, the physical Earth curve, would be like that first hill on Paul's picture. Because it'd be physical, but it's not there.
Right. It would certainly be a little bit more like that.
Right.
Maybe not as outspoken, but yeah, over vast distances, yeah, it would be outspoken, you know? Like the whole, it's only 20 degrees. Well, yeah, that means that when you see things 1,000 miles away, that it's basically 100 miles up or something, you know? 200. It's ludicrous. Ludicrous to assume that it's actually going over the curve because, yeah, if it is a literal geometrical curve that you're looking at into the distance, then there's going to be a cumulative drop. This is never really addressed even, you know? I've been saying
when you look at
the very start, the concealment rate over the Earth, which is geometrically flat, my opinion, is linear. So the concealment rate is linear over distance. It's not cumulative, which it would have to be if the Earth was geometrically spherical.
If you look at Paul's picture, and if you get out of that car that Paul was in, and you put your P900 or his phone camera, whatever he was using, on the asphalt, you would, those curves in the road, because you can see it's got highs and lows in that road, those are physical, and that would affect how far you could see if the camera was right off the deck instead of 3.5, 4 feet up in the car. So this is what I'm saying. If the Earth was a sphere, it would have to have curvature based on the R value at 1.22 miles at a 1 foot observer height. And it would be just like this picture of Paul's where you can see it, but it's not there. It's just so obvious.
Huey, you there?
Yeah.
You can try and kick everyone to the after show and see if that fixes the problem.
You want them in the after show?
It might work.
Give me a moment. Yep.
Tried everything else. Can't figure it out.
Well, maybe you could try the after show.
Okay, we've got an after show.
Okay, I heard what you said.
There we go.
Let's try you out then. You got the apprentice module now.
Woohoo! Can you hear me?
We're all getting.
You hear me in after show?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I can hear now.
Hey,
after show.
Yeah, after show.
Perfect. We had
Nice.
Parallel after shows going on.
Nathan, we didn't hear you for the past 30 or whatever minutes.
Yeah, once I was moved from live to after show, it just cut me off for some reason. I couldn't get sound back, so hence we're all moved into the after show.
Well, I would expect nothing.
Been working on my
to be honest.
plosives. Peter, Piper, Peck the Pickled Peppers, Pepper, Pipper.
Oh, that's miles better. And I'm glad you fixed it.
Sounds delicious.
That's better, much better.
This is really good because QE's here now too. So the current claim in the pre-show was that the bunch of globalist mods were saying that flat earthers are triggered by math, and they know this because flat earthers are triggered by math, and they know math better than all flat earthers.
Triggered by
And
math.
by the way, these and these were the mods on the server too.
I'm triggered by math,
which makes it even.
I reject it.
Most of them couldn't. Did you see what happened over the past couple weeks? These friggin' numpty dipshits, because I was putting up Negator's comments from 3 years ago where he said 3 times 10 to the negative 23rd millimeters isn't much different or is a minuscule different than 1 millimeter. Right? But they don't understand the ramifications of this. They can't imagine how many of those 3 times 10 to the negative 23rd millimeters can fit inside 1 millimeter. How much would you guess would be able to fit inside 1 millimeter? Simple math.
Yeah, like 6 trillion. I saw that you do this.
Yeah, 106 trillion. But it's not that much of a difference. These friggin' bozos couldn't tie their shoes with a fleet of slobber nurses. So appeal to math all you want. Math isn't science. Get your asses in here. What about that dumbass numpty conspiracy cat?
It's a playground tactic. You're scared by our abstract maths that isn't physical or reality. You're scared by it. So talk maths with us. Yeah, we don't care. Keep your abstract maths. We'll deal with the physicality that physics offers.
Most
That's
couldn't
science.
pass 3rd grade math class. Friggin' bozos. What about that conspiracy cat's numpty? I seen him in your chat saying he was looking for some material. I got some material for your dumbass. We want to do that?
Yeah, how about the housekeeping questions?
No, I got specific material for him.
Oh.
We want to do that, or you on something else?
No, go ahead.
Let me share my screen.
Sure. While you're bringing that up, for the same reason I banned Jose for plugging his show in my chat, I banned Conspiracy Cats because he sat after I asked him not to, plugging his show. Okay, you're up.
Conspiracy cats, here's some material for you, you numpty. Remember when you said this? The second law of thermodynamics is about the movement of energy, not the movement of matter. I mean, talk about bashing your own head in with a shovel. Son, from the universe today, as Einstein showed us, light and matter are just aspects of the same thing. Matter is just frozen light, and light is matter on the move. Albert Einstein's most famous equation says that energy and matter are 2 sides of the same coin. What you on, son? You don't even know what thermodynamics is, right? You definitely don't know what entropy is, which is the second law of thermodynamics. Let me ask you something. Let's take a look at the definitions here. In classical thermodynamics, it is viewing entropy increase as a measure of the dispersal of energy from localized to spread out at a given temperature. In molecular thermodynamics, are molecules matter? Numpty cats. In molecular thermodynamics, it is considering the change in a system or surroundings or the total for which there are fewer accessible microstates to one in which there is an increased number of accessible microstates. Like I said, are molecules matter, numpty? If you would have said water was made from boll weevil silicon salts, it would have been more coherent. My word, sir. You see this gas expansion into a vacuum? You see this entropy, gas expansion into a vacuum, mixing of ideal gases or liquids, diffusion, effusion, colligative effects, and osmosis. Each fundamentally involves an increase in entropy. Are gases matter? Are we dealing with matter here? You'd fail 6th grade intro to physics. One more, real quick. He was on a show not that long ago, and Spurs was on there, and Conspiracy Cats was going light speed through pictures and photos and stuff, and he was talking about mirages, and he's going through all these photos, and he pops one up. He pops this photo up, and he calls it a mirage. Numpty cats, this isn't a mirage. Wait a second. How long you been out here? How long's he been out here? 2-3 years?
Maybe a couple of years.
Hey, you're in this discussion and you call this a mirage? I should get in contact with Mick West. You know, Mick did an expose on this specific photo. You see what he said right here in this photo? The reason why he did it, because the press was calling it a mirage. What's this right here? It's not a mirage, you numpty dipshit. You need to get out of this discussion, son. You need to go back to your true vocation, picking up cans alongside of the road. Supervised. That's it.
If this is going to continue, soon the road will be out of cans, John.
Wait.
They're gonna make Quantum keep making music coming after y'all.
Oh, and you keep on asking people to come on your little debate show. Let me tell you something, son. We have the arena over 24/7. You come on over there and present your case. 24/7 Flat Earth Discord 2.0. It's called the arena. Just go in there and ask them. They know who you are. They'll make you a gladiator. And you can come in and we can debate. Me and you. 1-on-1 with a referee. No muting. Meow, 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 meows. And you can present your case. And I'll drag you around by your short hair, as you know I'll do. You freaking coward. You yellow spine numpty dipshit plonker.
Yeah,
Piss
somebody
off.
come take a shot at the title.
Yeah, I'll give him a shot at the title. Like I do every day over there.
It seems like nobody's coming.
Undefeated.
That's it.
What do you mean? Rumpus declared in 2016 he made Kiwi look
I
stupid.
don't know what that means. Anyone?
Say that again, Owen.
What's a plonker?
Want to know the
Because-
literal meaning of it, or do you want to know the slang meaning of it? Which one do you want?
I want to know what he meant. I never heard that before.
Plonker is a prophylactic. French letter, condom.
Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Call someone a plonker if they're a fool.
All right.
A plonker's a
Your
condom.
imitation's the best.
All right, never heard that one before.
Well, you know, Arwen, this is a show where the rubber meets the road.
Just listen to how the word sounds, and it'll make sense. You know what a condom is used for? Well, the Brits call it a. Well, they used to. It's not really used anymore, but back in the day, they would call it a plonker. So it's a plonker. No one's getting it.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, 80s.
Plonker. That doesn't matter.
Didn't Max
You got it.
talk
So,
about this?
Discord. Hold on. Discord.
Charlie
Whoever that
Miller.
was. Say it again.
Yep, Sackley got it, Nathan. Plonker. I just met her.
Precisely.
And then will that be a used plonker or a unused plonker?
Too far, mate. Too far. Come on.
Yeah, there's enough description in my explaining what plonker is.
Can I make a comment about math real quick?
About what, sorry?
About math, when they start talking about, you flat earthers don't know about math. I remember whenever they say that, I always think about when I took algebra. I don't know if anybody remember the first day they took algebra, but algebra comes a derivative from Arabic, right? So we get the idea of algebra was actually from the Arabic understanding. And this is actually a text talking about, obviously, algebra. Do you see any equations in there? Does anyone see any equations? I mean, obviously it's in Arabic, but do you see equations?
What?
Yeah, do you see any equations? You don't see any, right? Well, back at the way the Arabs did math, it was actually, they wrote it out. They actually wrote out whatever word it was. So, and they actually described it. So they were describing what they were doing. So, I mean, I don't know Arabic, but if they, instead of saying plus or having a plus symbol, they would just say plus or add, or they would say multiply, or they would do whatever to describe what they're accomplishing in their math.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, it was actually words they used. They didn't use equations like we do now. They didn't have symbols like we do now. It was all written out, handwritten.
That
words.
sounds familiar too, because that is kind of how the scientific method really works too. You know, it's meant to have you fill it in with words and description. Yeah, it doesn't require math or any numerical system really. So it's interesting.
You're talking about the hypothesis construction stage.
Right.
And I did this. I was doing this in class, and my teacher kind of freaked out. I had to go back when I went back to college. I was sitting in remedial English class because I forgot so much about English and writing, and also I was having to do remedial algebra and some other things because when I went back to school, because you forget if you don't use it. And since I got both those in my head, and I saw the teacher write a sentence on the board, and he wrote it up there, or there was a she actually. And it hit me. I'm all like, that looks like an equation, so because I'm sitting here thinking about the other words, but if you could put a plus symbol or a addition symbol or some other symbol for the word, you could actually say something as long as the convention, which is all the letters and plus signs are all conventions, you could actually say the same word as long as you agree on the convention. So technically, our language is also mathematical in one sense of the word. As we're describing.
Well, no, it's the other way around. It's maths and
you're
verbalization.
More than you could chew there, man.
It's structural. It's not numerical.
No, they're both languages. They're both used to describe things.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's basically all I'm saying. It's just mathematics and both sentences are used to describe things. If I say I'm going to take away 2 apples from 5 apples, I'm subtracting, but I'm describing what's happening. I'm taking away 2 apples. I'm subtracting.
But that falls under syntax, really, the structure. Anyway,
point is that descriptions aren't the actual thing. The abstract isn't the real. So you're describing your 2 apples. Yeah, we can agree on the convention of us handing over 2 apples and that being the process. Or in terms of the mathematics, dividing it in such a way that you end up with a weird figure that would involve you cutting up the apples for the sake of argument. But then when Owen describes a syntax error, it's where I give you 3 apples when I only start with 2. Well, mathematically, you can do that. You end up with 3, I end up with -1. But in physical reality, you can't do that. But you could describe it, and you could add to the verbalization to make it work in reality. In other words, I give you 3 apples, but the problem is that in no way can you square the circle of there being a point where I'm standing holding 2 apples and I hand over 3, even though mathematically you can end up with a quantity of 3 and I can end up with a quantity of -1.
Well, and that's kind of why I use the unicorn example, because I can perfectly describe the unicorn, perfectly down to the minute detail. I can even probably get into the blood chemistry of the unicorn and just completely describe it and have it Everything makes sense logically. My language sentence is perfect. Everything's perfect. But is my unicorn real? Is it a real thing?
Well, and then on the other hand, can you define a banana? Give me the equation definition.
Well, correct, but also you can twist the language in terms of the mathematics or the language of a unicorn to make it do whatever you like. So in the case of the mathematics of the Big Bang, dividing by 0, giving you infinite, that convention would have to be agreed upon in mathematics. Now, the fact that they describe it as our physical world and how its origin story has come to pass doesn't make the maths work either. You know, it's a, as Arwen called it, a syntax error. How do you divide by 0 and come up with everything? In mathematics, they just derive that as a convention they say is appropriate and have a story to go with it, right? To make that maths seem to make sense. But it's merely a convention that they've derived themselves. They said within this mathematics that is possible. Divide by 0, get everything.
Right. They decided philosophically what the result of that would be, besides just an impossibility.
Which way round is it, though? Do you say that divided by 0 giving you everything and then come up with the just so story of the Big Bang? Or do you come up with a just so story of a Big Bang and then try and qualify that with the language of mathematics and end up with divide by 0, get everything? Which way round is it?
I think either approaches could have been possible.
Do we know which, though? It might not be that we've got an answer. Which came first, the maths or the just so story is what I'm asking.
Well, when was the Big Bang conceived by the Catholic guy?
Abby Georges Lemaitre.
Right.
1928, 29, 30, somewhere around in there.
Wow,
all right, well, then I'm going to state that the math was probably first.
No way, it's that recent.
Big Bang? Yeah.
I had no idea it was that recent.
Yeah.
Big Bang, the idea of everything from nothing, came about within my grandmother's lifetime while she was a teenager. That is astonishing to me.
Well, there were other types of ideas around, but none that were like fully embraced as some kind of mainstream thing afterward.
Oh well, we must know the predecessor then. What was the predecessor prior to 1920? What did you say? 28.
The predecessor to
the Big Bang.
Big Bang? The Big Bang non-scientific theory, pseudoscience?
Yeah. What was the predecessor?
I had no idea.
Copernicus.
I don't know what those guys thought.
You said Copernicus?
I think it was Copernicus, like a geocentric, perfectly circular spheres around perfectly
No, we're
circular
talking about
orbits.
origin.
No, not the model. The origin story.
Oh, okay.
The origin story. Where did Wolverine come from?
I'll be back in a moment.
Gonna see where Wolverine
came from Canada.
That's true.
Thanks.
Anytime.
Oh, yeah, that was also in the 19th century, right?
I don't think X-Men was 19th. It's 20th century, isn't it?
No, but the character
No,
Wolverine.
Wolverine's been alive since like the 1800s.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, because he regenerates, right? He's been through all. Sorry, yes, correct, Darwin. Yes, he's been around since the 1800s in their narrative. Yes.
But this is a better Narnia.
He got stabbed with a bayonet.
Narnia.
Sorry, who was that in Discord? Say again. Crit?
It's Crit. Yeah, the Wolverine story was he got stabbed with a bayonet like in the Civil War and thought he was going to die, but didn't. And then all of a sudden he realized he's different than everyone else.
Yeah, I like the origin story for Wolverine. You know, they show him and his brother getting like tied up and shot. And then the next scene, they're like, okay, right, so we're in jail because they can't kill us.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's got the original Deadpool in it, hasn't it? What a terrible, terrible Deadpool that was.
That is
No, that's
that is
another
a
one.
crappy
That's the
version of
older
Deadpool. That is
origin
not
story.
Deadpool.
I knew that I'd
was
get a moan
horrible.
from someone.
Yeah, the
That's
old-
not Deadpool. Because they literally
That
they
is
make it
not
more literal. They
Deadpool.
say he's the Deadpool, and it's like 10 of them. They're combined DNA.
Yeah, but now you're talking
Yeah, it was
about
like a
X-Men
clone.
Origins, I think. There is a later version which kind of does the same thing much, much better.
Yeah, we all know about Deadpool.
Yeah, no, that Deadpool sucked. That is not Deadpool.
I agree. I totally agree.
I can finally agree with Virus on something. There we go.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they ruined Deadpool.
Do I not know our opponents well? You've only got to start chatting about films for a couple of minutes, and they all pipe up.
Magneto for the
What's a
win.
good way to diffuse? It's a good way to kind of add lightness to the conversation and come back, so we all can sort of recognize each other's, shared interest, and fall back. There's a fallback point instead of always being, beating the drum like which side is right.
Yeah, I agree. And this particular movie, not so much with Back to the Future, but certainly with things like X-Men. Although it's totally tied to the evolution story. I was about to say, it's like just suspension of disbelief, but then you think, hold on a second, this is programming as well, isn't it? On a really deep level, it's about evolution.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if you go back to
Especially
the
X-Men.
first X-Men,
Right.
they literally started with that, and then saying how
That's
it
right.
just sparked from like the mutant gene and just started from there.
Speck of scum.
What's evolution?
It's how the X-Men come to pass. Like they get to puberty, and then suddenly their powers manifest, and they start like lasering up the place or causing earthquakes or whatever, and then their parents tend to abandon them to this guy in a wheelchair. It's just how it is, man.
Let me rephrase that more technically. It is based on the pre-assumption that genetic mutation, can and will inevitably lead to evolving of the species, more complex systems, more.
Can't use the word in the definition though.
Mutation. There you go. You use the word mutation. The
Genetic
genes mutating.
Where'd you get genes from?
Professor X.
Gap.
Levi Strauss.
Aliens.
Next.
Levi Strauss.
River Island.
They got the genes from the Celestials.
DoorDash girl.
That was a boom boom right there. Bro.
That's a good boom boom.
Spontaneous
Nathan, I gotta get you
Hold on,
for
we're all rumpusing this. I've forgotten the point in that question, which is why I made a joke. When you say there's obviously a reason, where'd you get genes from? I've forgotten why that would be the relevant question.
Yes,
Well, from
because
Adam and Eve.
Evolution, whatever that is a naturalist theory. Naturalist, philosophical naturalism. Things came about by nature, just like the Big Bang. So my question is, where'd you get genes from naturally? In other words.
I see.
Right,
In
he's
other
right.
words,
Adam and Eve. After Adam and Eve, they had to put clothes on. So that's where
hold
we
on,
got
Neil.
genes from.
Hold on.
Hold on, Neil. In other words, in order to have the information in the first place, you couldn't have everything coming from nothing in nature. It's back to the ontological primitives. To have these genes with information in them, you'd have to have creation. And their assertion is you get everything from nature. So
No. Not even talking about information just yet. We're talking about the actual chemistry. I didn't get the information yet. I just wait back there with a flamethrower with that. They can't get, naturally speaking, they can't get a single molecule of DNA, a 30-mer RNA or protein naturally. It's physically and chemically impossible. Just one molecule.
I see.
How you like that?
It's the sand castle versus the sand dune thing, right?
Oh, I wanna do my thing. What if the conditions in the realm simply are not there anymore in order for that to arrive from scratch?
Special pleading fallacy. You've got this the second day in a row you've used it. So I don't know where you got this.
I love it.
You like the special pleading.
But I wanted to top that before everybody starts talking through it again. Because what if evolution, it's more Pokemon evolution, and it was actually a part of the original design? What if there is a destiny of evolution within the design?
Hold on. Part of the original what now?
The original design by God.
Design? Oh, wait, where'd you get a design from?
By God. God, the designer, the
Fair
creator.
enough.
What if he made evolution a thing?
Yeah, but then you're open
I've
to
got it.
Design.
You've got a designer.
I've got the answer.
This guy, a designer is not going to work in the parameters that we are encased by. So, in other words, you could say anything's possible, Arwin, from that respect. Once you've accepted that it hasn't been born out of nature, and nothing, essentially, in violation of the first law of thermodynamics, I might add. Once you've got to that point, well, the rules do not apply to an entity that is creating us.
Oh, well, I wasn't arguing for evolution out of nothing, but I think that maybe evolution could be part of the design.
What's evolution?
There is personal evolution. There is.
What's evolution?
So there is societal.
What's evolution?
Development.
Mutation.
Development.
That's what I'm asking.
Mutation.
You keep on whistling past the graveyard. You got to define it first, then go
mutation.
on from there.
The changing of genes, the changing and adaptation, the genes changing over time.
Where'd you get genes?
They were designed.
See how this goes?
I've got the answer. If you'll listen for a second, I've got the answer.
Nobody's arguing against the designer here.
Hold on.
Nobody.
Where did I get genes? Well, they came to pass because there was enough time, and in the primordial. I can't say it with a cold. Some primeval soup.
Primordial soup.
Primordial. With a really terrible nasal.
Awesome.
Forcing me to sound terribly brummy. Right. In that soup, there was a lightning and stuff like that. And yeah, that's how they got created.
Was it word soup?
No. The primeval soup.
Primordial.
I can't say it with a cold.
Yeah,
Just
we
give me a
already went
break.
over that. How many times have we been over that past 2-3 years?
Nathan, in Master B, I've got 2 slides for you. Lemaitre came up with Big Bang in 1931.
31? It's even more recent. Okay, thank you. I've got it. Why won't it go big? Okay, I'll come back to
Hold
that.
up. Does that mean there are people that might still actually be alive, and that means they were around longer than the Big Bang?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. That's why I compared it to my grandmother. So absolutely, yeah, there's going to be people around that predate the Big Bang. As weird as that sounds, that's actually the case.
That's why I had to say it that way.
Hey, I've got some more pseudoscience.
Great grandma, that's pre-Big Bang. No, I don't.
Go on, Paul.
I've got some more pseudoscience that resolves all this. Multiverse. We happen to be the one out of millions of infinite multiverses that life came into being. Pure random, pure everything.
Yeah.
That's the answer.
Yeah, no, that's friggin' imagination. Show us one alternate universe right now.
Sorry, is that a scientific theory?
Oh, no, I already said it was pseudoscience. I guess you missed that part. It's pseudoscience.
Oh, we ain't concerned with that.
If that's your opener, you might as well not bother with the rest of it. By the way, this is pseudoscience.
Are you guys trying to tell me that there is no parallel universe in which I am actually a Super Saiyan? Come on, guys. Are you guys disappointing me here?
Well, that's how it goes, though, isn't it, right? At some point in your life, Chocolate, according to parallel universe, let's call it theory with quote marks around it. Yeah, at some point, there's like a coin toss situation where you made a decision, but in another universe, you made a different decision. And as a net result of that, let's call it a poor decision in this universe, because you used the example of Super Saiyan. Well, if you'd have made a different choice, you'd now be the parallel universe flying around the world like Neo Saiyan, because you just happened to not make that choice. But that choice was made in the contrary, and that exists in this parallel universe now. And there's a million other verses or universes where other decisions that may have been made were made differently and then spanned off into this. Is this like the biggest pile of bollocks anybody's ever heard?
Well, it gets worse. In that universe, you blew up the moon that was presumed to be physical, because otherwise you'd turn into a giant space monkey. And I'm not even joking there.
And that's a saying, too. A giant space monkey.
There's one universe where Mick West and Rumpus married and their kids had hooves.
Hooves?
Guess what?
What?
The Big Bang.
What?
You're gonna love this. Guess what the name of it originally was? It wasn't the Big Bang. Guess what it was?
Big Fart?
Nope. The hypothesis of the primeval atom.
Primeval? No way. Hypothesis
Yes, sir.
as well. Notice how they hijack this word. Yeah? To lend credence to the pseudoscience, they call it a hypothesis. Bastard liars. And look at this man, he's got a dog collar. What do you know? So it's a priest that's given them this Big Bang hypothesis, which it isn't, it's pseudoscience.
Yep. Yep, they did.
And Nathan, it's interesting. We started with Mount St. Helens and we end with a Big Bang.
Indeed. Still can't
It's
get
kind
over
of
how
funny
recent
that when atheists or people like that don't believe in any type of creator or something will laugh and say, "Ha ha ha! You guys are so stupid." And it's like, you believe in the Big Bang? Who do you know who made that up? No, he wore one of those collars, right? You remember that?
Somebody who's a Christian's going to have to explain that to me. I mean, Jaron has explained it in many videos when he went to a Jesuit school and they educated him in the heliocentric system in the same way everyone else was educated, if not in more depth. So these people with dog collars, why is it that they're punting the heliocentric model? Has anybody got an answer to that?
Give me a minute, man. I'm finishing breakfast.
Is it the Catholic word by any chance?
I think you said it in the definition, helio, worship of the sun.
S-U-N rather than S-O-N.
But why would they worship the sun if the sun wasn't the first thing? Right? The sun was an effect of this supposed explosion, right? Of nothing into everything.
That's correct.
So why would they worship
Because Satan said he will be like the Most High. He will exalt himself
It now makes sense
behind
actually.
the stars.
Now makes sense actually in the timeline why this would come chronologically after Einstein. Because for the idea of the Big Bang to work and create the sun, as you've just described, Chocolate, you need gravitational accretion.
Well, if I can give my best shot at it before QE comes back to answer it. I was raised a Catholic, and when I read the Bible, I realized how they were not teaching the Bible. They were teaching a version of it, a Catholicism, or another gospel, as Galatians warns us not to accept. So there's in Corinthians, I believe it's 2 Corinthians 10, it talks about different Jesuses. Well, I mean, there's only one Jesus, but it talks about people teaching a different Jesus. Don't go that way. It's a false way. It's satanic hijacking. So different gospels, different Jesuses. And then when you look at Catholicism, they've changed everything what the Bible says. Salvation is not by grace alone. It's by works and grace. It's a mixture of both. Then you've got idol worship with the saints and the statues, where it's forbidden by the Bible to worship anyone but God and not to erect an image or whatsoever. And then there's praying to Mary, which is you're praying to a human being, which is a violation as well. And then there's this non-existent place called purgatory, where you have to go throw money in the coffers to have people pray that your relatives don't stay there suffering too long. It's such a gimmick. It's a confiscation of the true faith and made a business out of it. And the rest of the story, as you can see unfolding these days in the headlines.
I still really do not understand. It's the Catholic.
I'll give you an answer.
Don't understand what? I'll tell you where they came from. Babylon. If you track Babylon after Cyrus the Great pummeled them, if you track they had a hereditary priesthood, right? And if you track them throughout history where they went afterwards, they got pummeled. Guess where they dropped anchor at?
Don't know.
Rome. This is all Babylon, brother. They're mystery Babylon. Go to Revelation 17. You'll see her smiling face right there.
Okay, so what you're saying is the Roman Empire never fell, and this man in his dog collar is the representation in current times, right?
Well, the Roman Empire, there's two legs to the Roman Empire. You got the Western leg and you got the Eastern leg. The Eastern leg outlasted the Western leg by 1,000 years, yet it never dissolved.
It never dissolved.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm confirming what you just said. It never dissolved.
We're a part of it.
Did a righteous force pipe up a second ago?
It's Rakia.
Was it Rakia? Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah,
Did you want to?
we're still a part of it, right? In whatever way you choose to be. The further you get away from it, the closer you get to the great I am. That's what it's about. So everything they do is to lead you away, including the shape of the earth, what you worship, to lead you away from the great I am and make you into a god, or make you believe that you can be a god. So that means that there is no one God. And that's the opposite of what you should believe in, which is the great I am, the only risen God, right? Well, pretty simple.
Wow, cool. Thank you. To be fair, I did have this explained to me once by Johnny Cerrucci, who went through the entire timeline.
And I would like to point out something else real quick. I'm quoting from Romans here. I got it up on screen. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worshipped and served the creature or creation rather than the creator, who is forever blessed. Amen. The thing is, we're made to worship. So when you remove the creator from your worship, you have to worship something. And the only thing left is the creation itself. And that's what you see with atheism, you see with everything. Even in the scientism, the science rhetoric, the creation is the ultimate, not God himself.
Yeah, even the pseudosciences tell you that they know there's creation. There had to be a beginning, right? It's a second law of thermodynamics proxy, right? So when they say, people always put creationism up and laugh at it. And I always ask them, I say, so you're not a creationist? Really? Even your pseudoscience priests know there was creation. You see, every single person is a creationist, whether they know it or like it or not. The question is, who's their creator? Because they're the ontological primitives, right? It's either intelligent design or nature, right? So all you atheists are creators or creationists, and your creator is nature. So you got some big problems. The biggest problem is, where'd all the information come from? Because according to your philosophical naturalism religion, matter or energy is the only thing that can exist. That's it. But information is neither matter nor energy, but it is the basis of all reality. You see, we're going to get crunched now into a vice. I'm going to put you there. I'm going to start turning the wheel, right? Here comes me turning. It's going to go at light speed. You following me, atheists? Where did the information come from? So essentially, when you use your thoughts to think about destroying or refuting my worldview, you have to steal my worldview to go ahead and refute it. Essentially, all you knuckle draggers are presuppositional kleptomaniacs. You're stealing my worldview to defeat my worldview. How's that for a gag? You clowns! Intellectuals, huh?
Perfect. I'll use that to end the show on. So with that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley or Nathan Oakley 1980 Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!